I've lived what feels like many lifetimes on YouTube. I don't feel like the same person as when I started at 20 years old almost 10 years ago. And the 10-year mark seems to be a time that a lot of people decide to stop and move on to something else, which in many ways I really understand. So today I'd like to sit down, kick back, and talk about the times that I've considered quitting and ultimately why I'm not, at least not for now. It seems to me that it's very easy to lose control over your process as a creator and end up in a life that no longer feels like your own. I also think that a lot of people start YouTube when they're young, and the topic that they chose to pursue at that time may no longer be fitting to them 10 years later down the line. I think that as we grow as humans, as we explore and learn more about life and the world around us, maybe what we found interesting at 17, 18, 19, 20 years old is very different as we grow into our 30s. I also think that it's very possible that you reach a point where you feel like you've explored every possible format within this realm of creativity. So many of us find ourselves in a rat race. It might sound a little dramatic, but I can assure you that every single creator that I know, including ourselves, have felt stuck in one at one point or another. In our world, that was at the end of 2019, at the start of 2020. I'd never felt more stuck in a rat race in my entire life. I felt completely restricted by the weekly upload schedule, which came in complete conflict with this idea that we'd had for starting the channel in the very first place, which was to live a life without regrets and to live our dream life, traveling the world. But now it felt like a restriction. It did not feel like the feeling that we had at the very beginning. It started to feel like this monotonous, routine-based job with an enormous amount of pressure to perform that no longer was fun. When you are expected to be the fun, wholesome friends who travel the world and have fun together, which we were, but when that's set on a schedule, on a weekly schedule, and there's very little room for rest, there's very little room for reflection, and your lack of sleep eventually catches up with you. It doesn't matter how incredible the experience is, if you can't be present for it, it's very, very challenging to actually enjoy any part of it. And the challenge, I believe, is that there is no real structure or advice or help for creators that find themselves in this situation. At this point, we were experiencing a lot of ups and downs in our moods and in our lives, and it didn't mean that we weren't enjoying making the videos. I think the problem was that we were so busy making the videos that it didn't feel like we had anything that existed outside of them. I remember having a Sunday off at some point in 2019, and it was the first day off that I'd taken in a few months. And I remember spending most of the day crying by myself as I slowly realized that I didn't really know what my life was outside of the cycle of making videos. I hadn't taken a moment to figure out how I like to rest. And getting to this point is what it took for me to realize that I developed an unhealthy relationship with YouTube. The problem is, without a weekly upload rate, your revenue goes down, your subscriber growth goes down, people's habit of watching you on the same day at the same time every week goes away. So there's a whole other pile of issues that add up when you decide to pull away or take a break or limit your upload cadence. So at some point I had to zoom out and had to get a shift in perspective, and COVID kind of allowed me to do that, but it has taken me a few years to really figure out what it is that I want out of this YouTube career that I've found myself in. And there's a passage from a book that I really enjoyed called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel that I think put things into perspective in a way that I really enjoyed, and I will read this short passage to you. If expectations rise with results, there is no logic in striving for more because you'll feel the same after putting in extra effort. It gets dangerous when the taste of having more money, more power, more prestige, increases ambition faster than satisfaction. In that case, one step forward pushes the goalpost 2 steps ahead. You feel as if you're falling behind, and the only way to catch up is to take a greater and greater amounts of risk. This really hit me because I think that I realized that as soon as I hit a milestone, I barely had a moment before I was already thinking about the next one. And by that point, your first milestone is to hit 1 million subscribers, and then it might move to 5 and then to 10. And so they're growing at this increased speed. And so you never have time to be satisfied at any point in your life. So I decided to ask myself, do I want more subscribers at the cost of my happiness? My answer was no. Do I care about making more money by uploading weekly at the cost of my peace and having a life that I actually enjoy? My answer was also no. So then why am I arbitrarily torturing myself? And I think having this moment of realization slowly throughout time has allowed me to shift the way that I've chosen to do things, which I'll get into in a moment. Unfortunately, I think burnout can come from a lot of different places. And one of them, I think, is losing control over how fast your operation is scaling. You go from being this solo, scrappy creator, making videos that you feel inspired to create, to all of a sudden having an army of employees that you've hired to help you, but that you now have the pressure to continue making videos for to be able to pay. It's kind of ending up being in this tricky situation where you were meant to hire to take things off your plate, but you end up adding more pressure. Now, I don't want to make this about the system, but I do really believe that the productivity expectation that comes with capitalism pushes us to create more, to strive for more, to grow faster, and ultimately leaves you almost feeling like with no other choice. And although I am still a very driven person and care deeply about continuing to create at the highest possible level that I feel I'm capable of, I no longer want those aspirations to continuously get in the way of my peace. Because if most of my career is filled with stress and anxiety, how is the dream job that I supposedly have really better than any other? And in order to have this dream job, we are fortunate enough to be sponsored by companies who believe in our work, like the sponsor for this one, BetterHelp. BetterHelp makes starting therapy a lot easier and less intimidating for a lot of people. It lets you have therapy sessions in the form of a phone call, a video chat, or messaging, whatever you are most comfortable with. BetterHelp can match you to one of their over 30,000 therapists in their network based on your needs, preferences, and location, which gives you a much wider range of expertise than may be available in your city. All you need to do is to fill out a questionnaire about the challenges that you're currently going through and what kind of therapist you'd like, and BetterHelp will then match you to a therapist tailored to your needs. In most cases, you will be matched to a therapist within 48 hours and can schedule therapy sessions at any time that is convenient for you. If you feel that your therapist is not the one for you, you can easily switch them out with the click of a button at no additional cost. To help support this channel and to get 10% off your first month, go to the link in the description below or go to betterhelp.com/seekdiscomfort and join the over 4 million people who have used BetterHelp to live a happier, healthier life. Again, that's betterhelp.com/seekdiscomfort for 10% off your first month. And now let's get back into how I have tackled this world of YouTube since 2020. So I shifted gears and perspective a bit. I decided to embrace the upload rate of every 2 weeks on Yes Theory, allowing myself to increase the level of ambition I have in the stories themselves while feeling like I have a bit more of a sustainable travel rhythm. I accepted that the channel will potentially grow slower and we may generate less overall revenue, which I can assure you was not an easy decision to make. I've embraced my creativity as a lifelong pursuit rather than this short-term sprint that I'm trying to squeeze as much as I can get out of while I have this moment on YouTube. I instead am aspiring to have a rhythm that I feel like I can grow up with and that still leaves some room in my weekly life to allow myself to dream about future projects alongside what I'm currently doing. Last year, as some of you know, was a very difficult year for me. And I ended up asking a family friend of ours, his name is Ragnar Gripe. He is a musical composer who has written one of Sweden's most iconic film soundtracks. He's in his 70s and still feels inspired to create music. So I asked him, how do you do it? And he had this very simple, beautiful answer, which I love and really stuck with me, which is, I still feel like I have something left to say. And I think as an artist, it's the most beautiful way of putting it, because I think every single person who starts making videos or music or writing feels like there's something within them that needs to come out. They have to put it out, almost don't have a choice. And to me, the way that he put it made it extremely clear that I am myself not done. At some point, I do have a feeling that I will likely want to move my creativity elsewhere and explore new formats, explore new ways of expressing myself. But for the time being, I do still feel like I have at least a few more years of feeling very driven to pursue what I'm in the middle of right now. My ambition is really to create the travel adventure show with a strong sense of purpose that I want to see on YouTube. There are some amazing travel shows on YouTube, but I feel that the way that we explore it and the way that we do it is very unique to us, and I don't feel that we've finished. I feel like there are still so many stories around the world that deserve a Yes Theory style adventure story to be told about them, and I can't wait to find them. I am also going to try a storytelling type of format on this channel, which this is kind of the first iteration of. My future videos will probably be a bit less specific to YouTube and will be more specific to personal development stories that I've experienced in my life and am currently in the middle of, and stories that I find incredibly interesting from around the world in locations that I don't believe that I will ever travel to tell the story of. So I think that this will be a place for me to explore a different kind of storytelling where I'm not travel adventuring out in the world, but we are simply having a conversation. I look forward to a more productive year of stories. I feel more centered and at peace and focused and clear on what direction I want to take. And for that reason, I feel very far away from burnout, at least in this very moment. The lesson that I think anyone could take from this YouTube turmoil that the platform seems to be experiencing at the moment is to check in whether the drive that you currently have actually matches the life you want to live. I think it's very hard for so many of us to predict what we want in life until we've experienced it. And so that's why I think it's so common to end up in a life situation that wasn't really what you expected it to be, or maybe didn't pan out like you meant it to be. And I think that certain milestones in life, like turning 30 or doing something for 10 years, seems to serve like a reflecting moment for a lot of people. And I think if that's happening to you or has happened to you, I see it as an invitation to check in with yourself and see what aspect of your life could be more aligned with your values and your priorities. I'm a strong believer in gradual, sustainable change rather than these overnight spurs of energy of completely reinventing your life. Based on my own personal experience, I haven't seen those spurs of desire to change everything in your life at once to really pan out to be that sustainable. So what are some of the first decisions that you can make that will create that positive domino effect in your life? What bad habit can you focus on trying to break first? What positive habit could you be aiming to be more disciplined about? As I've grown up, I've realized that peace in my life is the most valuable thing I could get. But also that feeling creatively fulfilled is a part of me finding that peace. So I will continue to pursue my greatest creative potential in what I hope will be a multi-decade career filled with a myriad of interesting and unique projects. So yes, for the time being, I am not quitting YouTube, even though it has stretched me to my limits a numerous amount of times. At the moment, I'm feeling creatively excited. I am curious, and I still feel like I have something left to say. Please subscribe to this channel. It would mean the world to us. I think this is going to be the place where if you are interested in specifically the Yes Fam aspect of our community, this will probably be the main place for it. I look forward to continuing to explore these formats. If you have thoughts on this format, let me know on how I can improve it, how I can make it more exciting. I would love to read your comments down below. So let me know what you think about what I've spoke about in this story, and let me know any thoughts you might have to me. I would be happy to hear them, and I look forward to seeing you soon, wherever that is. I don't know where, because I don't know when this one is going up. You might see me on that other channel, or you might see me on here soon. I'm not sure, actually. It all depends. Everything's up in the air sometimes, and you can't always get what you want, you know? Okay, bye-bye now.